So, again, a warm welcome to you all, and a very warm welcome to all the friends that are joining us tonight. It's always precious to kind of open a space that is beyond the little place where we are into a bigger, it's not a bigger picture, it's a bigger field, a bigger energy field, a bigger presence, a mysterious connectedness. I don't know, you will see perhaps along the evening that there may come moments where suddenly, this space here extends to the space everywhere. And at least I, and probably you too, will feel the presence of many friends who actually love to join, and wherever they are. Like, I looked sometimes at the comments from people, and they're in Argentina, in Brazil, in Sweden, in Germany, in Australia, in Japan, in Korea, in Taiwan. So it's kind of, you're sitting in an international Sangha, and I think that's very beautiful. Now, for the new friends here and the new friends that are joining us online, the evening actually doesn't have really a structure. Usually we start with a meditation, just with a silent sitting. But who knows, sometimes I also talk. And in between, or after the first meditation, there's a chance to share, to ask any questions. Doesn't mean I have all the answers, but we can inquire and explore and make it more a dialogue. And I have our dear friend Steve here. For the online people, you can write questions or you can write comments, and Steve will wave and let me know that there is something that wants to be addressed, and then we spread out and see what answer comes. Now, I'm kind of in a strange situation, because what just comes in this moment is don't believe any teaching. Don't follow any teaching. Avoid any great master's teaching. Why? Because it's their teaching, it's not your discovery. It's their discovery, and we can be inspired by the discovery to go and really look intensely, rather than following. I include myself sometimes, saying Osho said, because I love Osho. I've been with him for so many years, and I love to quote him because he had ways to say things that nobody else had the same exquisiteness or poetry in it. And yet when it comes to your own truth, to the understanding of who you are, it's useless, it's worthless, it's actually a hindrance, because the moment we quote, we have made a belief. You follow that? We don't see it, but the moment it becomes a belief, it's not true anymore, and it's past. And on the esoteric science point of view, it is the throat chakra closes, the creativity that arises out of not knowing dies, and we become parrots. And if you're in my situation, and some of you are teaching, you will notice when you become a parrot, it sounds fantastic, or maybe very intelligent, but you feel there's something that's not true. There's something that is what religion tries to say, And religion is already past. It's not the truth anymore. So, it's interesting. Why do I say this? So that we can be absolutely here with a total intensity. Because everything that we ever are looking for is not in the future. It is that which is looking. Take a breath. We are seeking that which is looking. It may sound very strange. For the mind, it's a puzzle. But that freedom, or that openness, or that discovery, or whatever we call it, awakening, it's a bit charged word. Enlightenment is more charged. It's such a cosmic carrot that points us to other people who have apparently reached a certain state of being. And then we compare ourselves and we think we are kind of poor failures because we don't see the personality in the bright, shining light of consciousness of the people. And yet, every single one has a personality, has emotions, has darknesses, has light. So, these great masters or teachers can only be a pointer so that we intensify our willingness to be here, to not move a single inch away from this moment. Because when we move into the future, we move into hope, we move into stress, we move into anxiety, we move into insecurity, we move into not knowing, we move into powerlessness, all these wonderful things that we then want to get rid of. And then we go, because we have all the tendency to recreate a sense of me, even though that sense of me is not real. So if the future doesn't bring it, we go to the past. My childhood, endless. My childhood traumas, endless. And then you do regression and you find that behind the childhood is your past life. How many? Millions. Endless. Once I have cleared my situation with my mother, then I will be free. Forget it. The situation with your mother doesn't exist in this moment. The situation of your past trauma, forgive me, there are some trauma therapists here. I'm not diminishing your skills, it's beautiful. But ultimately, it's good not to park there, because we create a reality which is not real. We create, through our past story, an identity that is not who we are. And that identity is then, of course, getting really afraid to be annihilated. And now this fear is everywhere, because millions of people lost their job, and that was at least a big part of their identity. Now, who am I without my job? Who am I without my security? Who am I with, these poor people that lost their houses? The fires were very near here during the fire time, and I was abroad, so I didn't know, It's like, but I asked myself the question, well, who am I without all this here? It could very well happen. I'm saying that not to make us more afraid, it's more like what is essential really? What is more important than any part of our so important story? In my view, it is to uncover deeper and deeper who we already are, what we already are. And the mind can do all sorts of somersaults thinking it knows, until we realize the mind can never know who we are, because the mind happens in who we are. Is that difficult to understand? No. It's so simple. Why can I say this? Because you can watch the mind. You can watch your thoughts. So obviously then you are not your thoughts. Does that make sense? It's very logical. Huh? And the same with feelings, and the same with experiences, and the same with the body, and the same with anything that appears in consciousness. And that is kind of the whole purpose. If there is any purpose in meditation, it is the purpose of stopping any becoming, of stopping any trying to be something else than we are, the stopping of reaching anywhere, the stopping of resistance, wanting something that is not, or not wanting what is. So why meditation? In meditation is the only, I call it non-activity, it's not an activity, where we allow everything to be as it is. Why not take that from the little package of meditation where in a certain time frame we sit and be spiritual? Why not take it into life? Can I allow that which is? It's not always comfortable, especially when that which is including some emotions that you have tried to suppress forever. And suddenly in the most inappropriate moment you feel pissed off like hell. Can you allow that? Can you be that? Can you be that so much that you don't have to make other people responsible that we usually use to be angry at? But, God, yeah, intense fire. Something triggered, usually another, usually a relationship partner. If you are in a relationship, they would know the best triggers. Huh? And then the ego wants to attack. And the seeker says, okay, if I have to explode now, I explode. So be it. You let it be. Or sadness, or disappointment, or unmet expectations, or all of this. So it all brings us back again to this moment. And this moment is the unknown. We can never know this moment. The moment we know it, it's already past. It's already gone. And And then suddenly we begin to drop. No? It's like everything that we thought we are is like the famous onion. Okay, this layer, obviously that's not who I am. This layer is not who I am. This story is not who I am. Anything that arises is not who I am. Any sensory experience that arises can be helpful when we change the focus from the object. I think we looked at this in the last satsang. Rather than hearing the sound out there, we receive the sound in here. Rather than seeing the visual field out there, we receive it in here. Touch. Rather than going to the trigger that makes you feel good, for example, when you get a massage, you receive it in here. And where does it go? It opens the door to something that is beyond the senses, beyond experience, beyond knowledge. And yet, even beyond all that, I am. Does it make sense? It's in a way kind of quite logical. And the question, well, who am I or what am I, will never, the moment you have an answer, it's not true. But it guides you, it guides us, it guides me into that infinity. And then all you can say is, I'm infinite. Now that sounds very arrogant, no? Because on the body-mind I'm so limited. But we're all infinite. Infinite consciousness. And when we start kind of, when that window opens a little bit, and it opens just now, then all the friends that are joining us everywhere in the world are totally part of this infinity. Now we lose a lot there. No? We lose a personal sense of self. Because that personal sense of self is coming and going. No? It was born and it will die. And we try to evolve it every moment into something better. So let's be here a little bit. Let's sit for about 20 minutes. No? And in the sitting, if you have any regular practice, forget your regular practice. Forget vipassana, where you focus on or watch the breath. Forget any chakra meditation. Forget all the techniques. We're just sitting, allowing everything to be as it is. And that, of course, includes the mind. Don't try to have a silent mind. Good luck, it doesn't work. The very word peace of mind is a lie. Either there's mind or there's peace. Yeah, so peace of mind, forget it. Yeah. So don't look for peace of mind.
They can't be together.
They are together. Peace holds the mind. So stop all trying. The only reason we invite you to maybe sit a little bit upright with your spine is so that you don't fall asleep, because that practice of letting everything be, we do every evening. Otherwise sleep wouldn't find us. Now we do exactly the same, and yet something inside stays awake. And it's very interesting when we drop deeper and deeper and deeper, and then the state is like sleep, but we are here, awake. It's kind of almost contradictory. And you will find everything comes and goes, while you as a body, you allow the body to be still, and perhaps you discover that you as a being is already still behind all the action. Is silent, is loving, is joyous, is free. Now I said too much, you're going to look for this. Don't look. Don't look for this. It's already here. No? Okay. Enjoy. Actually, before we do that, I want to kind of add a little light. I dedicate the light to your true nature, our true nature. feel this peace. Behind all movement, behind all turmoil. Feel the stillness. Get a sense of that, what we are behind all comings and goings. And from that depths inside, we can gently take a deeper breath and just becoming aware of the body again, and yet stay at the same time aware of that feel, that space that holds the body. Maybe you want to move a hand or a toe, maybe even stretch the body a little bit. Until you feel ready to open your eyes to a totally fresh moment here. And even the eyes can just be innocent, like we have never seen this moment. So now we can open this a little bit more if around the world or in here anyone wants to say something or share a discovery or ask a question or have a comment, so we can have a little dialogue. A dialogue arising out of nothingness. Yes, Steve has his finger up.
Question from Sunday from Sweden.
Sunday, hello Sunday. Yes.
He says, last weekend in the Satsang, you talked about Nura, and you said that you didn't really miss her. Of course you do, but you really miss that part of yourself. And that makes sense to me. And then he says, for two years ago my wife died after 23 years of marriage. Could you please talk more about that and how to handle it?
Thank you. It's an important question because we're all probably in the same situation. One person that may be close to you is suddenly not here anymore. Well, my own experience with Nura, we were 32 years together, and somehow the depths of love and intimacy and beauty of relating, it cannot be improved, at least from my vision. So it was everything I ever dreamed of. And it lasted, and it got deeper and deeper and deeper. So when she passed, pretty suddenly, I've been holding satsang before, and Nura was with me in satsang, and she had always these incredible, wise and amazing inputs that came out of a completely different angle than mine, which I loved, because male is one side, but there's a female that is a different side, and it belongs together. Now, naturally, if you're close with somebody or a good friend, a part of our being in form includes the other person. And if it's a love relationship between man and woman, then it feels complete, at least in form, when both are together. So I call it the little me, that person, that personality, has, of course, consciously and unconsciously identified itself through this relationship. Now imagine half of this is gone within 18 days. That's an incredible. I can share a few experiences, but actually it is such a mystery. It's like suddenly half of you is missing. And of course then first is the missing and the grief and the realization, my God, she will never come back, and like the human part of relationship is finished, and there's a lot of story around death, and yet what happened for me on Sunday, maybe you can play with that a little bit, is that missing of myself, I call it, was so deep that it couldn't be comforted. I mean, I have many friends that comforted me and, were very loving, because Nura was very loved. But what really happened is that nothing of this comfort made sense to absolute nothingness. So I was sitting in this hospital. Nura was on the machine, the brain was already gone. She was just being kept alive, with the heart pumping. And I had the most incredible meditations. Of course, deep sadness and everything else, but behind all this, all I can say, it's like a blackness. There is nothing. I don't exist anymore. The way I knew myself as Rahasya Nura doesn't exist anymore. And of course, then comes the question, well, who am I, or what am I? But even that question felt stupid. I'm not anymore. And energetically, it felt like falling into an endless abyss. And each time it was beautiful because I had the time. There was nothing to do, just sitting there and basically waiting till the doctors or I or somebody finds a way to switch off the machines. But the crazy thing is, in Japan you cannot switch off the machine. So I was negotiating with the doctors and asking, what can we do? She's already gone. And are we going to sit here for the next year, 2 years, with the brain-dead body? That was, of course, my anxiety. But then, in that time of waiting, there was nothing else to do except falling into the abyss. And the strange thing, and this is an encouragement for you, Sandy, or for anybody who loses a beloved one, is dare to fall, dare to die, dare to fall into the abyss. Drop any hope. The game there was hope and fear while she was still, she was unconscious from the first day, but I felt she is still in the body, and then there came a moment where she wasn't there anymore, where there was just a machine. And then what appeared, I can say what appeared, but even that didn't appear. It was revealed in that absolute darkness and hopelessness and nothingness and non-existing was a strange sense of gratitude and love. And my guess is all of us who have lost a friend, even if it wasn't such a close friend, or even if there was conflict during the lifetime, what is left after the grieving period is love. No? Because everything else is irrelevant, the story, the power trips, the hurts, all that is completely irrelevant when the other is gone. No? Then you're left with your own, all the projections that you had on the other don't work anymore because there's nobody there anymore, at least not in the body. But there is something there that never goes, and that is, with Nura for me, that has been a deepening and deepening. First it was very personal gratitude that we had such an amazing life together, and personal love. But when the body was gone, that's why I say I don't miss her, because love is here. No? Light is here. Nura means light, so love and light. It's not personified anymore. And somehow I try to put it into words. Whenever I think of Nura, I just think a lot of love. So there's nothing missing, because that love never went anywhere. That, or call it consciousness or space, never went anywhere. It was always here. And then sometimes it gets obscured through personal conflicts, or through personal disagreements, or through being triggered by situations. But the depths, I think the beauty, the depths of somebody close dying is that everything else becomes kind of relative. It's not, it's not such a disaster. It's like right now, personally, I'm waiting for this Department of Home Affairs that they give me permission to travel to Europe. And no matter what I try to do, and having endless phone calls with them, they don't know if and when they give me permission. And there's like on a human level, there's about, I have 4 courses, so there's about 100 people waiting that need to know whether the course is cancelled or not. My organizers need to know the deadline for the venues and so on. So there's a lot of drama on the human level, but in the face of nothingness, it's not so relevant. It's a yes. For my personality, I get anxious sometimes. I get pissed off that they don't move. I have all my conspiracy theories about all that stuff. And of course, it's all what the mind does, and it has nothing to do with the depths of who we always are. I don't know if that makes sense to you. So then when this happens, because it happens for all of us, no? Until our body goes, somebody else goes. And as we advance a little bit in age, more people go. Every week I get at least 1 or 2 or 3. Now, just lately, 3 of my classmates popped up. They left the body just within a few days. I said, "Oh, classmates? Well, that's me. That's very close." No? So, question for you: am I ready? What am I postponing? And usually we postpone love. No? We postpone sharing that which is the truest of who we are. And then comes the question, well, also for you Sunday, have you loved enough? If you feel you have loved enough, then every moment after your wife died is a bonus. That I feel very often. Every moment is such a bonus. We're sitting here in a warm room with beautiful friends, inquiring into truth. What a bonus. We could be cold in the grave now, but we're not. Yeah. So, I think grief is a very important piece when we lose somebody. And the grief is actually really losing a little bit or a big piece of the false self that we have tried to maintain up to now, or build more up to now, or improve, or polish. And that's beautiful also, Like the bigger the false sense of self is, the more it drops when it drops. Then it becomes more dramatic. That's not who I was. That's not who I am. It has been a doorway to who I truly am. Does it make sense? So somebody asked how to deal with it. Well, don't deal with it. Drop into it. Don't make something out of it so that the pain is not so strong. Don't avoid the pain. Avoid the story that you're telling yourself, or look at the story you're telling yourself and use the story to go into the pain and see if the pain can take you. And when you do that, then you will notice that the pain actually doesn't kill you, it opens you. Because it's simply a feeling. It's simply a feeling of missing something that you thought you were and you're not anymore. And subtly it happens all the time. No? If you just look in the mirror, I said, oh my God, I feel like 30 and here is this old guy looking at me. That doesn't make sense at all. No? Do you have that sometimes? Oh, yeah. And then you count your wrinkles and say, how come? Sunday, does that help? Another beauty about seeing what comes and goes is that even though every moment is a bonus, it's like you don't want to miss this moment. You don't want to miss while we're still here to truly find who you are. Not believing who you are through anything, even what I say now, that you are space, is totally meaningless unless you find it. Unless you realize, yeah, I heard Osho talk about it. That's what it is. That's who I am. My God, I had no idea it was so vast. No idea, so much love in the middle of hate even.
Someone says yes, thank you, and love.
Thank you. Good. You know, and existence plays all these wonderful tricks on us. Like with Nura, I thought I know everything about relationship. Forget it. But at square zero, nothing. Anything to say? Yes.
Do you want me to come up?
Yeah, come here because then they can hear you better. And they can see you. People.
My question is, I hear a lot of people say that they get affected by the planets and astrological effects. The only thing that happens for me is sometimes I feel odd around the full moon. Can you talk about retrogrades and solar eclipses and solar flares and I'm thinking a lot of that goes straight over the top of my head. What is your experience?
A lot of that goes through and disappears on the other side. So it's not even going over my head. It's you know, it depends on what your mind is interested in. there's this beautiful story from Osho. I'm sure you heard it, but I say it again. There is this guy that kind of is wandering along the road, and he has heard about God. He has heard about, that there is somebody that kind of takes care of everything. And so he gets tired, and he finds a beautiful tree, and he lies down under the tree and sleeps. And then he wakes up and he looks, and the tree is so beautiful, and says, "But I'm so hungry now." Poof! There's a table with food. He doesn't think much. He said, "Great food, let's eat." So he eats. And then when he's satisfied, he doesn't really ask himself what happened. But then suddenly he feels thirsty, and poof, all the drinks that he wanted are there. Now when food, the basic needs, food and the shelter under the tree and the drink was taken care of, suddenly he starts pondering, what happens? Am I in a beautiful planet constellation, or is the moon retrograde, or is what happens? But this is spooky. There must be ghosts. Poof! There were ghosts everywhere. And then he got really afraid. My God, ghosts, they can kill you. Poof, he's dead. So there is a reality that we are part of the whole cosmos, and the different vibrational fields that keep changing. They keep changing every morning. The sun rises, it affects us. Every evening when we watch the sun set, it affects us. It's beautiful to watch, but very often it can also be a wonderful excuse to not wanting to feel what you feel. It's like, today I feel, Venus is in the 7th house, and I feel so strange, and it affects my love affair.
You've answered my question.
And it depends on your interest. No? When you're interested in astrology, you can explain pretty much everything through astrology. No?
I was after your experience, and you've answered my question. Thank you. This is one of my questions around reality, which begins, or it doesn't begin, it has happened already, but the inquiry goes deeper and deeper. If I am the pure space of consciousness, if I am that which is aware of all experience, and if we realize, not just intellectually, that every experience is not happening out there, it happens in you. I often play also here, maybe we can play with that for a moment. If you look at this picture, your eyes are object-oriented, and they see the picture, they see the object. And then there's the sensory experience of seeing. We all see. We are lucky enough in the moment that we have eyes, right? And then there's the me, that which says, I see. Where is the seeing happening? Is the seeing happening in the picture? No, in the object. Is the seeing happening, is the seeing
kind of the object, or is there something that is aware of seeing? And obviously there's something that is aware of seeing. And when you ask, well, where then is the seeing happening? It's happening in me. Right? It's not happening in the picture. Same with hearing. Where's the sound happening? The sound, the object, when we go out with our attention, we find the object as the bird that sings. But where's the hearing happening? In the bird or in you? In you. And then if you play that further, you will find everything that ever happens in you. Where is Donald Trump happening? Sorry. It happens, he happens in you. Everything happens in you. The planets happen in you, in me. Everything happens in me. So how real is that? How real is the happening? And maybe we can come to the conclusion that the only reality is that which is aware of everything happening. Right? Now we don't need a huge religion or project it on a all-powerful God to realize that maybe if everything is happening in me, then maybe I am God. There is nothing else. And then science becomes interesting. I grew up with a lot of science, and I did my doctorate in science. And what is science? Where does it happen? Where do the new inventions happen? They all happen in me. So with this inquiry, everything that we believe to be true becomes very relative. Which in one way is very good news, because if everything happens in me, then me as this infinite consciousness is probably able to create anything we want in form. Not just the nonsense of an app that controls you, whether your neighbor has COVID-19 or not. That's also interesting. But there's much more interesting creations possible. Yeah. Now, I find, when I share that with you, it's for me a total question. I have no answer to this. This is such a mystery. It's such a unfathomable. Thank you. Unfathomable mystery. But the beauty in this is that perhaps our identification with whatever is happening is loosening a little bit. That's why in India they called life Leela, the divine play. We can only see it as a divine play if that which is aware of the play is more real than the content of the play. And it is obviously more real, because the play changes. In the moment we play COVID-19, the whole world plays the game. And the funny thing is, if you read some of the scientific researchers, the whole thing is a big hoax. But a nice play. An interesting play. Now, I don't deny the reality that people die. Yes. People die of all sorts of reasons. No? COVID or no COVID, we all die eventually. So then what is it about? It's about being here now. It's a miracle that consciousness at this moment has a body, has eyes, has feelings, has creative thoughts. It's an incredible miracle. Has the capacity not only to love, but also to be aware of love. Yes.
This is a comment from Anna Heggie.
Heggie, Anna Heggie.
Anna Heggie.
Anna Heggie. Hi, Anna.
This is follow-up to your talk about Nura.
Yeah.
She says, yes, Rahasya, my husband of 46 years died 4 months ago, and surrendering has been the only way I can come through it.
Yeah.
Love is all.
Yes, wow. And you come to this already after 4 months. This is amazing. This is beautiful. Love is all, and in this love, you're very clear that your husband never died. Body went, but love didn't go. And that changes the whole perspective, because then, you know, when we were living in Pune and somebody died, we always had a huge celebration. We were dancing and singing and crying and laughing and celebrating, because the body died and the spirit was free. I didn't understand it at the time. When I came to Pune in the same year, the Prince of Hanover, which was Turiya's husband. Turiya is a beautiful therapist. Many of you know her here. And he died of a sudden stroke. And I was so shocked that everybody celebrated. I was kind of more connected to the traditional grieving, you know? And then I got just so taken into that celebration of the heart opening with tears and laughter and totally illogical stuff happening, and allowing the death to be what it is. It's a total natural phenomenon that releases love. Love is all. That's beautiful. And we don't need to close. I mean, if I look at my own situation, I didn't put a full stop after Nura died. It's like, I still love women. So, relationship happens, and struggle happens, and triggers happen, and everything happens. It's part of life. You know. Yes. Shall we finish this or complete this with a meditation? I wonder what we do today. We used to do the Atisha heart transformation, absorbing suffering.
I have a request.
Yes.
I was speaking to my friend Bhavani. She's in America at the moment.
Yeah.
And she said that it's impossible to understand what it's like to be there. But it's so dense
Yeah.
and so stuck, and it's really intense. And she said to me, as much as possible, can you just, when you're together with groups or with your work or anything, just send as much love and light. So I just wondered if we could include that somehow, to send love and light to that country, to everyone, but particularly there because it's
Where?
America.
America.
It's
Yeah.
just if it feels right.
Yeah. It definitely feels right. I just, there's just different approaches, and for me, the strongest approach is actually to absorb the density,
Exactly.
rather than, keeping it in. Our spiritual ego, especially when we are more refined, we want to get rid of this density. We create a subtle antagonism against what is happening because everybody is so unconscious. No? And we want to keep it away, and that doesn't really work. Because we are part of this. We are this. We are just in a very, this morning I was on the farmers market in Malem, and it's just such a delight, such an incredible gift to be with all these Malem people. It could be 200 years ago the same thing. No? It's like, I think there's something so unique, and everybody is really showing their uniqueness to the max. And it's such a mixture, no? Mixture between old hippies and Range Rover drivers and everything there. So density, the density is basically a collective unconsciousness that is kind of identified with the survival mode that the whole apparatus of media is supporting. And I think the best way to support this is to support it in us. That instead of staying stuck in our own survival, I think we do the Atisha meditation again, which is a very powerful meditation. I do that a lot myself in the mornings. And for those of you who haven't done that or haven't been here, I name it Atisha because Atisha, an ancient Tibetan master, he brought it as a meditation, what he realized in his own awakening, that if I am space, then, and I have a body and a mind and a personality that has maybe carries some suffering, then I can absorb my suffering in the space that I am. And of course the easiest to touch our inner space is through the heart. So I'm going to guide us a little bit, but this is just for the mind to relax when you hear the guidance, is that we first tune into our own density in this case, and our own fears and our own suffering, our own anxiousness about the virus or anything else, or my anxiousness whether I can travel or not, no. And whatever suffering we are aware of, we can absorb, we can let it ride in the in-breath, enter the heart. And if we understand that the heart is not a substance, it's kind of an opening, it has many layers, and ultimately it's a space. Love is space. So you can imagine the heart as a channel into the infinite. And we absorb the suffering and let it flow through that channel into the inner sky, into infinity. And there, the sky is always empty. The clouds dissolve here. So the suffering, the density dissolves here. And then the out-breath can carry the blessings of peace, of healing, of spaciousness, of love. Back to ourselves first. And then after a while we extend it to friends and family. And after a while we can extend it to America. And then after a while we can extend it to the whole world. Should we do this? Mm-hmm. And don't be afraid. It's like there's a few things for those of you who are empathic or empathetic. If you're empathic, you may have the tendency to absorb suffering and then hold it in your own field and suffer more. That's not what it's about. You need to dare to be empty. Dare that, okay, it can come in and it flows through the heart into emptiness. That's only possible when you recognize that which is aware is empty. And the out-breath then can carry the blessings, which is again a different type of fullness. It's like the light of love, the light of presence, and back to where we were suffering, back where family was suffering, and back to the world. Should we do that? Yeah. Okay. So close your eyes. And again, it's kind of the paradox, because it seems we do something, but it's actually a natural quality that automatically happens when our attention moves there. So all we do is shift attention. So when we're sitting here, just maybe take a few deep conscious breaths. It's all happening in this moment. We're not going anywhere. We're just feeling this moment. And for a few seconds, just be very aware of your breath. Because breath is always here now, and when we are aware of the breath, we are more present. And then we can also use all the other senses to be more present. It's like being attentive to everything that we hear, to everything that we feel in the body. Everything, maybe there's a certain fragrance that we smell, or a taste in the mouth. And as we are more and more present here, we can bring our whole attention, our relaxed attention, to the heart. Just feel your heart. And we will notice that wherever our attention goes is where our energy flows. So when you feel your heart, suddenly it's almost the feeling in the heart lights up and maybe even intensifies. And for some of us, maybe the heart feels pressured or painful or burdened, and for others the heart feels open and relaxed. And don't choose, just feel your heart, just feel what is here. Let it be like an experience that is just here now. And perhaps whatever you experience in the heart is connected to a story of today or yesterday. Now, turn your attention away from the story to the sensation, to the feeling in your heart. And then you can find that with each in-breath, the heart expands a little. The experience of this moment expands just like the chest expands with the in-breath. And the out-breath can be a let go deeper into the heart. You can use your imagination here. So each in-breath, an expansion, and each out-breath, a letting go deeper inside. And perhaps already here we begin to notice that what we call the heart has all these different layers, like for example the feeling layer, we feel the heart, and yet deeper than that there is an opening. And then as we stay connected with that melting or that letting go inside, it's almost like we are falling deeper into the heart, falling deeper than thoughts, even though thoughts continue, and falling deeper than feelings, even feelings continue, and falling deeper than body sensations, and body of course continues, and deeper than the breath, and breath continues, and deeper than the heartbeat, until we come to a space that is deeper than all experience. Now comes the mystery when we ask ourselves, who or what am I deeper than all experience? There's no answer, and yet I am. The mind would say, I am no thing. I'm space. I'm presence, I'm love. All these words, space, presence, love, point towards formless. And that recognition, that rediscovery, that in Zen is called the empty heart, that can be used for a deep healing of the body-mind. So as we are present and aware of this inner infinity, this inner sky, we can use that to transform any suffering that we may be aware of inside of us. So if you're aware of anything that disturbs you, or any shame, guilt, anger, unworthiness, being triggered, being anxious, being tense, you can invite all this suffering riding on the in-breath, entering the heart, flowing through the heart and dissolving in the empty inner sky, just like clouds dissolve on a sunny day. And the out-breath can carry the blessings of peace, of space, of love, of openness, back into your body-mind, just filling those places that were occupied by suffering. So just remember the last moments today when you had moments of misery, of anxiety, and instead of trying to get rid of them, let them ride on the in-breath, invite into the heart. Deep breath, flow through the heart and dissolve in the inner sky. And the out-breath can carry the blessings of healing, of love, of light, of presence, back into the body and mind. And perhaps you can even feel the cells opening or relaxing a little bit. So in the in-breath, breathing in any tension, any holding, any density, any suffering. Totally open up the heart and let it all flow through the heart and dissolve in the inner sky. Just like even the thickest fog in the morning dissolves when the sun rises. And allow the out-breath to carry the blessings of openness, of space, of healing, of peace, of love back into the body-mind. Now, when we feel a little bit familiar with this possibility, we can extend the heart to friends, to family, to people close to you. And also there's a lot of suffering, anxiety, insecurity, shame, guilt, unworthiness, all these things. You can invite them to enter your heart, riding on the in-breath like a stream into the heart from your friends, from your family. But don't hold it in the heart. Let it flow through and dissolve in the empty sky, very naturally. And the out-breath can carry the blessings of healing, of love, of care, of space, of letting go to the family and friends. So breathing in suffering, breathing out blessings. Breathing in any pain, any shame, any guilt, any anger, any disappointment, any panic, any survival fears. Let it all dissolve in the inner sky. Breathing out, blessings, healing, peace, space, love. Touching your friends, your family. It's like a breeze of light, a breeze of care, a breeze of benevolence. Breathing in any heaviness, any suffering, any violence and difficulties, all of it, all that we normally reject, just allow it to ride on the in-breath, flow through the heart, and dissolve in the inner sky. And the out-breath carrying the blessings of peace, of healing to friends and family. Now, not everybody may feel ready for that, but if you feel ready, if you don't feel ready, just continue with yourself or with friends and family. But if you feel ready, you can extend the heart. The heart, in its essence, is infinite, so we can extend it for now, following the request of Bhavani, the suffering, the density of America, of the USA, that intense climate there. Breathing in all these people's suffering and anxiety and whatever they suffer from. Let it be like a stream into your heart, and as it flows through the heart, it dissolves in the empty sky, just like even the darkest thunderclouds dissolve when the sun comes through. And the out-breath carrying the blessings of light, of openness, of love, of forgiveness, of relaxation and of peace back to all the people in the US. Absorbing, breathing all this intense suffering. Let it flow through you. We are just a passage, and dissolve in emptiness. Breathing out, blessings, healing, love to all people in the And now if we feel ready, we go a step further and we can extend the heart to all beings. Because all beings are just one being. We are the world. So allowing that stream of suffering to flow into your heart, flow all the way through and evaporate in the empty sky. And breathing out, blessings, healing, love, peace, lightness, creativity to all beings. A few more deep breaths, absorbing all suffering and breathing out blessings. One more time, deep breath, letting it all flow through you. Breathing out light, healing, compassion, lightness. Now one more, last breath, absorbing all this collective suffering and breathing out blessings with this deep intention that all beings may be free of suffering, that all beings may be free of fear, of hurt, of pain. May all beings remember themselves as love and peace. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Yes, a deep breath, a good stretch. And a little blessing to everyone, just kind of a little shower of love and prayer. And thank you so much for being here, for being part of it. And our dear friend Greg has something to say. Greg is the angel of the Temple Byron, and Temple Byron gets reactivated for regular
meditation. Start again this week at Temple Byron.
Meditation starts again. Tuesdays 6:30. No?
And hoping to get you there later this month.
Yes, I will probably be there Tuesday in a week. But and then Friday evenings are happening here, and I've been cleaning out my cupboard a little bit. There's 9 different Satsang CDs. They are a free gift to you. You can pass them on, or CDs are kind of a dinosaur time. I don't know if anybody still has a CD player, but maybe in the car. Yes. No. You can take some. No. And do we still have the chai?
Yes.
My sweet son has this amazing chai for sale. He has a tea business, and we have 3 canisters left, and it's the best chai in the Shire. No, if you want to take some. His company is called Eshai. No? Very good. Thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for being part of this. And thank you everyone around the world. As you may remember, it's available on Facebook. You can look at it again. You can share it. And I also put it on YouTube for people who don't want Facebook. No? Very good. Now, if you're thirsty, the urn is on. You would have to take a cup, and there's a drawer with tea if you want to, before you go home, want a cup of tea. The urn is outside, and the cups are on the right side behind the cupboard. No? Thank you. Be well.